I've talked for some time about the CIA getting blasted for interrogation techniques that actually classified information shows works, and history will show has worked quite effectively. This past week, the Weekly Standard's put out a blockbuster report where we actually get to hear from somebody deep inside the program. You know, we've heard from the media that's been against the program. We heard from Democrats who were for the program before they were against the program when it went public in the Washington Post. We've heard from FBI agents who never, ever engaged in enhanced interrogation and techniques attacking the CIA. And the CIA has not allowed people that actually engage in the process themselves to go out and tell the truth about the program. That's changed. I'm sure you've seen this Weekly Standard story. How important is this in the first step of Americans getting a full picture of how we've been fighting this war against terror?
Well, Joe, I think it's a very important step. I did read the entire document that Jason Beal, which is the nom de plume that this officer is using, put out, about 40 pages, some of it redacted, actually a fair amount redacted.
Too much?
Yeah. What he says there is consistent with what it is I saw as director of CIA.
Which is what? Summarize that.
Well, which is that these techniques and procedures actually worked in gaining valuable information. Look, Leon Panetta, who's got no dog in this fight, has said that we got important, even critical information from CIA detainees against whom these enhanced interrogation techniques have been used. The White House press spokesman, when pressed about the relationship between the CIA program and the road to Abbottabad, admitted that interrogation of these detainees was at least one of the important threads that led us to Abbottabad. Look, Joe, honest men can differ. A noble position is, I still don't want you using these techniques. It's inconsistent with my values. But whether or not they succeeded, that's historical fact.
Exactly.
That's not opinion.
And that's always been my point. You don't like it? If you would rather drop a drone bomb and kill 30 people in a family, including grandmothers and young 4-year-old girls, and have them blown to 1,000 pieces, if that helps you go to sleep at night better than having people go in and seize the one terrorist that committed the operation, then taking them out and getting information from them, if that's your twisted, bizarre moral code, you can live by that, but you can't say that it didn't work. And that's what this piece also points to. I got to say one other thing, too, that's been one of my pet peeves. This piece also talks about a briefing that he was in with Nancy Pelosi in 2002. And we've heard this. Now, we've heard this from Porter Goss when he was at the CIA. We've heard it from a lot of different people. And now we've heard it from an agent that was in the room when Nancy Pelosi was briefed in 2002 and had absolutely no problem with it. And this agent just says she out and out lied later on by suggesting she had not heard this. Weren't these Democrats briefed in full from the very beginning about what was going on?
The record at the agency shows quite clearly, Joe, that they were. And again, Leon Panetta, a Democrat, actually a friend of Congresswoman Pelosi, stood his ground, stood the agency's ground when this was a big story in 2009 and 2010, and said the record was quite clear. The leadership of Congress was briefed. Look, you can blame us for not briefing more members of Congress, and in fact, that was probably a mistake on our part. But the leadership of Congress was briefed in accordance with American law.
General Hayden, what do you expect now happens with Dianne Feinstein? What do you expect happens with the new Republican majority comes in report in this debate?
Right now, word on the street, Willie, is that the report's probably going to drop between Thanksgiving and Christmas, although this thing has been sliding now for about 6 months. I need to call your attention to the fact that when this report is made public, the CIA rebuttal and the Republican minority report will also be made public. And so, out of a sense of fairness, I recommend to everyone, before they rush to judgment, that they read all three documents.
General, in the age of ISIS, what responsible government agency would release this report now?
Well, Joe, there are already press accounts, which I believe to be quite accurate, that American embassies and other installations around the world have been warned to take defensive action in in anticipation of this report being released. That is somewhat troubling.
That is troubling. Thank you, General. We greatly appreciate you
General
being here.
Michael Hayden, thanks very much for being on.
Why would we release these reports now? Richard Haas, what does it serve? What good does it serve to release these reports now? Again, if people believe that it is more morally right to drop drone bombs indiscriminately, killing entire families instead of snatching one person out, waterboarding 3 people over the course of a decade, that's their business. But why release it now and put more American lives in danger?
Well, your last statement, that's the kicker here. It's not as though everything's over or we have the opportunity or luxury of historical reflection far from the battlefield. This stuff is still ongoing. We have to understand if we release this stuff, it will then be Congress for the mill and it will be used against us.
All right. Up next, rave review.